Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Palmer, and today we are live in the Million Dollar Body group. These podcasts are always streamed live into the Million Dollar Body group, and we're here every Tuesday. So if you're not a part of the group already, definitely jump in there. Go to n8trainingsystems.com/group. We have a ton of stuff in there, a lot of free resources, a lot of amazing things going on. So make sure that you're a part of the conversation. So if you're here, you're probably a high performer, real estate agent, entrepreneur, or business owner in some form or fashion. And today we are talking about how do you unlock time freedom, which is a term that we use a lot in the entrepreneurial space. How do you unlock time freedom using your nutrition and your fitness to a certain extent to get more done, to crush your goals, and to feel amazing and burn a lot of fat as well. So I want to dive into that. And without getting overly scientific today, because I feel like we could easily dive in and be like, start talking about very specifics about macros and, you need X amount of protein and it needs to be 60% protein and 30% fats and 10% carbs. You need to do all these sorts of things. And it's be easy to get lost in the weeds here. So I want to really make sure that there are some actionable steps that give you exactly what you need. And then I'll give you some further resources if you want to follow this down the rabbit hole. So basically, like, to start off, what's time freedom? Because I feel like that's a term that we use a lot or throw around a lot in entrepreneurship and business building, because when it comes down to it, most entrepreneurs, so if you're here, if you're building a business, if you got a side hustle, if you're just kind of entrepreneurial minded, most entrepreneurs and business owners are not necessarily searching for the most money. Money is great, but money at a certain point becomes just more of a tool than like the end all be all. So, for example, I recently read a study, and I think this may have changed since it came out, but basically it said that after you hit about $75,000 a year in income, money no longer provides much more benefit to your quality of life. So after you hit about $75,000 a year, you kind of maxed out your quality of life in terms of like what that money can be spent on to provide you like with actual happiness and satisfaction in your own life. So at a certain point, if you don't have any goals of like owning an airplane and you don't really need a Bugatti because you live on your means and things like that, what most of us are looking for is not $1 million in our bank account, although it'd be cool to see all those commas. It doesn't really bring you any extra joy. On the other hand, the thing that's going to give you the most satisfaction is control, a little bit more control, especially when it comes to your schedule, and not necessarily being told what to do or when to do it or how to show up or being at someone else's beck and call. And I think that if you're entrepreneurial minded, if you are someone who's kind of like just doesn't want to be held inside like a 9-to-5 or doesn't want that like someone else to be like, hey, you got to go here and tell this person and do this sort of thing. What we're looking for in there is not necessarily a couple $1 million, but it's really how do we develop freedom around our time and around our days? How do we wake up in the morning and do the things that we want to do without having to do all the things that we hate? So I think that's one of the main reasons that people get into this. And maybe it morphs into like learning about investments and becoming passionate about your area of expertise. And maybe it is like you want to build a big business and create $1 billion and have like a huge impact. And that's cool too. But I think for the most part, most of us are looking for that time freedom. And I'm not going to sit here and say like, as a business coach, I'm going to tell you to do this to increase your time freedom by increasing your X. But I think for what we needed to peel back the layers on that a little bit, because during the course of a day, as in the life of a business owner, you're going to experience these like crazy ups and downs, like a roller coaster. Like one minute you're like, oh, I'm killing it. I just came up with this new product. It's so amazing. My people are getting great results. The next minute you're like, I just got a call from someone. They hate me. Everyone hates me. I got a 1-star review on Google. It's the worst. Then you're back up at the top. You're like, we just signed a big project. It's amazing. Everyone's going great. Then it's like, oh, back to the bottom. What if I'm a failure? I have an imposter syndrome. So we're having these crazy swings throughout the day, just in terms of our just regular day-to-day emotions. And that doesn't even count what's going on with us in terms of our nutrition. Now, if you are already what's called insulin sensitive, if you are someone who has a waist to height ratio, or your burn score is lower than 0.46, and you have like a completely healthy relationship with food, you're working out all the time, you're feeling pretty good, you probably already are experiencing some of these benefits. And maybe we can tighten this up a little bit for you as well. But if you're not there, if you're what's called insulin resistant, if your waist height ratio is above 0.46, if you can grab your belly, if you grab with two hands, if you have like visible love handles, then not only are you experiencing the emotional roller coasters of entrepreneurship and business owning, but you're also experiencing some of the nutritional pitfalls there as well. Because what'll happen is, we've talked about this a lot, is you eat the wrong food in the morning, blood sugar shoots up, then it drops down. You get that crash mid-morning, you eat some food, it spikes up, you get a crash again, you're hungry, you go for lunch, and then back down, up and down all day. So by the time like 2:30 rolls around, you're tired. You would much rather have a nap than continue to work on whatever project that maybe isn't capturing your 100% of your interest at the moment. So bring this back to time freedom. How can we develop more time freedom, more ability to do what we want to do when we want to do it through our nutrition? So one of the ways that I think that a lot of us are looking to free up our schedule is by condensing our work week. So Tim Ferriss wrote a great book called the 4-Hour Work Week. I have never experienced one of those, but I imagine it'd be nice. But I think a lot of us are kind of aiming for that. So like, how can we cut out a Monday or a Friday and just build in a 3-day weekend into our lives? One of the easiest ways we can do that is by accomplishing more during the other parts of our week. Right? Simple, right? If you could either work 4 10s or work 5 8s. So if you can get the same amount of work done or more in 4 8s than you did in 5 8s by having the right fuel in your system, by communicating effectively with your body and your brain to have a ton of focus and get more work done than you ever thought possible, I believe that actually builds in an additional layer of time freedom that you can start accessing right away. Okay. Not like, in 3 months, not in 6 months, not in a year, but I firmly believe that if you are tactical about this and you apply it in the correct way and you follow through in the nutrition side of things quickly and methodically, you could start getting more done and having more time to yourself, even if it's just like a half day on Fridays, ASAP. So if this is something that you've ever wanted to do, this is something that's been important to you, then keep listening, because I think we're going to get into some interesting information here. Okay. So the number one, we want to make sure that you have the right energy for your day, and you want to have the right focus. And there's 2 components to this. Number one, there's like the hormonal blood sugar thing, which we've expounded on a previous podcast. I'll touch on it a little bit here. And then the other thing is like the evolutionarily, like how we were engineered, how our bodies run. Before we were agrarian, which means farmers, before we like farmed our food and had like big fields of wheat and Oklahoma existed, we were hunters and gatherers. So when we look back at what makes you tick in a hunter-gatherer society, it's basically kind of like feast and famine. So you're either eating and you can just hang out at the fire and like enjoy. If you look at a lot of Native American culture, like the men would go on these big hunts, go out for several days or a couple of weeks, and then come back with the food or the animals, whatever. And then they would just chill until that meat went away. Then they would go on doing another big hunt. So if you think about it like that, if you are in a place where you are full, fat and happy, I guess would be one way of saying it. If you're fat and happy, then you are not going to be hungry, obviously. So if you're fat and happy, you're not going to be hungry physically or mentally. You're not going to have some of the other hunger signals that our body sends us, because when we're hungry physically, when we desire food, your body gives you a little bit more perception. It gives you the ability to focus on more things. You make more neural connections in your brain. You just become a little bit more dialed in on things. If you're fat and happy, you slow down, your body switches into a parasympathetic nervous system state. It's rest and digest. Like everything starts slowing down. We pull a lot of our blood from our brain into our gut. Okay. So this is actually like scientifically proven, because of how the digestion process works. If you're eating all the time, you can never be quite as focused as if you are not eating or staying a little bit hungry. Okay. So that's one of the big things to keep in mind here, is that we want to work with our evolution. We want to work with our biology. We don't want to work against it. And against it would be here. And like, tell me if you've ever done this before. Honestly, just give me put a burrito emoji in the comments if you've ever done this. But if you ever had that Chipotle burrito at noon, you go out to eat a big burrito, And all of a sudden, man, you're like 1 o'clock and you're dead tired and you just want to just curl up into the desk, take a nap. So you're like, but I got some work to do. So you have a Red Bull instead, or a, Rockstar, anything like that. And then all of a sudden now you have this like weird, like, I'm like my eyes are wide open, but I still don't feel good inside. And also I'm probably not going to sleep very well tonight. So we hit ourselves with like the chemicals from the carbohydrates, and we weigh ourselves down, and we start shifting into that rest and digest. And then we're like, no, we still got work to do. So we try to pull ourselves back to that fight or flight, that shake and bake kind of mentality, which is called sympathetic nervous system. That's our hunting side, by pounding a Red Bull or an energy drink. And what happens is we start feeling worse because we have some conflicting stuff going on. We're not signaling our body in the right way. So the number one thing that you can be doing to eliminate some of those ups and downs throughout the day and start developing time freedom through nutrition is not snacking. Okay. So don't snack during the day. Nothing good comes from a midday snack, a mid-afternoon snack, even like a post-dinner snack, which I think is the best time to have it. It's still not an ideal for it to be consistently eating and then not eating, and eating and not eating, and eating and not eating. You want to give yourself time between meals for your body to digest and for you to go back to getting into that zone where you can start focusing, be more productive, and use your biology to help you crush your goals, show up for your family, and just develop time and financial freedom. So first rule here is do not snack. Okay. I'm going to kind of go back a little bit now, and before I give you like the main piece. So stick around, because if you want, like, here, I'll give you the secret here, and it's completely reverse of what a lot of people are talking about in just a second. But the second tip here I want to talk about is the first thing you do when you wake up to set yourself up for energy, success, mental acuity, just mental performance all day. And it's so simple. And if you're not doing it yet, this is something that's going to make a huge difference for you. So if you like me, have like, you ever like heard a song lyric before and you're like, oh, like it's "Don't go Jason Waterfalls." And you're like, Jason, why don't go, bro? You got to stick around, Jason. And then someone's like, hey, it's actually not Jason, it's chasing. You're like, mind blown. So someone brings awareness to a song lyric that you maybe had not heard before. So in the same vein, if you've never done this before and you try it out, you're going to feel way different. It's going to bring awareness to something that you didn't even know was a factor for you. And you're never going to be able to unrealize that this is something that's going to make a huge difference in your life. First thing you want to do when you wake up in the morning to set yourself up in the right way for the day that you want to have to develop that time freedom is you want to make sure that you're getting 32 ounces of water in the morning before you have coffee, before you have tea, before you have your smoothie, before you make your breakfast, before you wake your kids up, before you do anything else, besides like go to the bathroom, whatever. You want to have 32 ounces of water. What this is going to do is just going to make it so much easier for your body to run all of its vital processes. So all night long, you've been breathing out moist air. And by doing that, you kind of slowly been dehydrating yourself. So a lot of us wake up and we're like, oh, I'm a little bit tired still, because you're dehydrated, probably because you didn't drink enough water the previous day. Then you breathe out moist air all night. So you're like, what's the first thing? I'm like tired. I'm dehydrated. It's the first thing we do is pour ourselves a big cup of coffee, which at its very, very best is net neutral, because some of the caffeine is a diuretic. So it can make that water run through you. So it doesn't count towards your water total. If anything, it's zero, So we add that on and we kind of feel weird because we're still tired, but we put in some caffeine. So we've jammed a brick under the brakes of our body's like slow down processes. So rather than doing that, wake up in the morning, have 32 ounces of water right off the bat, because it's going to set your body up to have to deal with all these natural processes. And then if you have coffee, like an hour after that, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to get so much more out of that caffeine than you would have previously. So this is a really important point. Okay. So like these all work in conjunction, right? So if all you do is don't snack, great. You're doing okay. If all you do is drink water in the morning, like perfect start to your day, but like there's some other tweaks we can make. But if you're doing all three of these things every single day, it's going to make a huge difference in your energy. And if you don't believe me, literally just take the challenge. Try this out for 1 week, see how it goes. Okay. $1 Million Body Method. It's available on Amazon. You can check it out right now. These are 3 of the habits that are detailed out of the 7 that I recommend for all entrepreneurs and business owners to be doing on a weekly basis for their nutrition and fitness. But I'm gonna give you the most powerful 3 right now. Okay. So no snacking, drink your 32 ounces of water in the morning. And then here's the last one. Okay. The one you've been waiting to see. Number 1, the number 3, the number 1 most important number 3 in this case is move all your carbohydrates to the PM. Move all your carbohydrates towards the PM. So that means no carbs in the morning, no carbs at lunch, and then a lot more carbs or a bigger carb load at dinner. A lot of people will say, like, don't have carbs at dinner, don't have carbs after 6 or 7 or whatever, because it goes contributes to body fat, which there is something to that, because people who are in the fridge after dinner, snacking, looking for stuff, you're never really being like, I wish I could just have this big can of tuna right now. Oh, I just want to have a hard-boiled egg. No, most of the time we're in there like, what's the popsicles? Where are the popsicles at? You got any waffles? Like that, that's what we're looking for, right? And we look in the fridge over and over and over again until we lower our standards each time until eventually it's like, fuck it, I'll just have this cheese. So like I think that's one of the main reasons that people say don't eat X after blank o'clock. So moving all our carbohydrates to the PM accomplishes a couple of different things. 2 main things that I want to talk about right now. Number 1 is that it takes the heaviness out of our breakfasts and our lunches, and it makes it so it's easier for our bodies to stay energized and stay focused. Okay. Carbs, I would qualify as like a high impact fuel. So carbs are a great way to fuel up for your workouts, for your runs, for your training. If you're outside all day building houses, awesome. If you're training for a triathlon, perfect. All those things, carbs are perfect for. For most of us, we are not doing high impact work on a regular basis. We're probably doing about 90 minutes tops per day of like working out, exercise, walking, anything like that. So we don't need as many carbs as many people think. We don't need a whole pizza's worth. So moving those to the later part of your day is a good way to eat lighter and fuel your body with the fuel that it exactly needs to get the best work done during the day, during the time that you are switching hats, building presentations, writing emails, just having to be more thoughtful and more perceptive. Okay. So give yourself the ability to do that by not eating carbs at breakfast, and especially at lunch, because lunch is the one time where I think you should even be eating lighter lunch than you do breakfast, because you can get more done in the afternoon and free up time and energy on those other days. So you can take Friday off if you just do a little bit better Monday through Thursday in the PM. So having a lighter lunch, keeping yourself a little bit more on that side of that hungry scale, where your body's now using your body's natural abilities, your natural biology to be more perceptive, be more focused, be more alert, and make better decisions. It's going to make you a lot of money, and it's going to save you a lot of time. So again, just going back to that time freedom. And then the last thing is having carbs in the PM is actually just like anyone who's ever had Thanksgiving dinner and then someone's like, hey, you want to play pickup basketball? And you're like, absolutely not. Definitely not going to do that right now, because we're tired, right? We've switched into rest and digest mode. We just went into feast mode, bro. So after feast mode, our bodies are designed to start toning down, getting ready for bed, kind of like getting into that hibernation mode. So after we do that, you have your carbs in the evening, you're going to sleep a lot better than you would if you didn't have those in the PM as well. So now we're getting better sleep. You wake up more energized. You follow up with the water. You don't snack during the day, and you have your carbs at night. Now you're developing this amazing cycle that just keeps repeating, where you can start having more energy, having more vibrant focus, getting more done because you're more perceptive and you can literally just think faster. It's like being at your, those times when you've been at your all-time best, you're kind of in flow. Maybe you had just that right combination of caffeine and a good night's sleep. And you're like, come at me, world. I got this. It's manufacturing that feeling on a daily basis. So how do we do that? There's a couple different ways. 3 of which we just outlined in this article or in this podcast. I guess we can turn it into an article. Who cares, since you asked. And if you want some more of this, if you want to know exactly the exact steps, I outline them all in the $1 Million Body Method. So you can grab that on Amazon, or if you're looking for a spelled out 100% like program that details every little iteration of what you need to do next, and complete with shopping guides and everything else, just drop me a message or a note, send it to nate@n8trainingsystems.com, and I can get you set up with that. So let me know how I can help out. If this is powerful for you, please screenshot this podcast and share it on social media. And I'd love to see that. I want to make sure that this is impactful and it's giving you the tools that you need to develop the life that you want to live. Because at the end of the day, like, no one is looking for nutrition because they're like, oh, I just love thinking about nutrition so much. It's so fun for me. We all have our goals, right? Whether it's to look awesome, build a six pack, like feel super confident in our clothes, or at like when we go out, or when we're at the pool, or maybe it's having a vibrant relationships with our families, with our kids or our spouses. Maybe it's building an awesome business and really crushing it. Those are the things that's really important. And I think nutrition and fitness can be force multipliers in those, but they should not be the end all be all goal. So I want to make sure we can help facilitate you in your growth and your expansion, using those methods as tools, just like we would by hiring new employees, building a new office, investing in new technology. Let's start with a baseline. Let's start with the cornerstone, the thing that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, because you can't, like, you live here, right? You can invest in a new office, but you're only there every so often. You live in your body. That's literally, you can't get rid of it. So let's make sure it's where your business, where your energy, where your focus, everything starts and ends is with you. So let's make sure that you love where you live. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you very soon.